Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? It's Lindsay from V. I'm so happy to be back. Last few weeks have been utterly insane getting our new website up, but it's done! So yesterday I was starving and I was thinking, well, how do I make something that I want to eat in the 10 minutes that I have? And then I remembered this box of pasta that I bought that was 10-minute, one pan, no strain pasta, and I was like, I don't actually believe that that's possible, but I'm gonna try it anyway. So what do I do when I make mac and cheese? I make a roux. So then I thought, wow, we're actually almost into Thanksgiving time, and a lot of people don't know how to make roux. A roux is spelled R-O-U-X, and it's essentially just an equal combo of flour, butter, which is used as a thickening agent and sort of the starter for things like a bechamel sauce, which is a cheese sauce, which is what I was using it for yesterday to make mac and cheese. Then also you can use broth and have a different sort of sauce that way called a velouté, or you can do gravy. And gravy is actually what a velouté is. So gravy is what we do. We take the turkey drippings off of the turkey and we make a thicker sauce out of it that goes on top of the mashed potatoes and the gravy. And a lot of people say it's to keep the gravy from, or the turkey from tasting dry, but actually just adds a lot of flavor. So we're going to get started. I'll show you the process, and please type in your questions and I'll get back to you. Or a lot of you watch these videos after the fact, which is awesome. We always put them on our YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe there, then you'll know when new ones are up. And just as a reminder, I am the founder of V, and V is this awesome company that we're building in Charlottesville that creates meal plans based off of those weekly sales flyers that you see in the grocery stores. So we take all the sale items, we turn them into healthy, family-friendly, easy recipes, and we're blowing up. So that's exciting. So join if you haven't, because we just lowered our price to $10 a month. It's sort of insane not to do that, because you'd make back the cost of the service in your first shopping trip. So now I'm going to turn the camera over and we're going to get started. Here we go. So you guys see what I have that I'm working with today. So we're going to start off with a saute pan. I'm going to add my butter and my secret trick, onions. The onions help to flavor the mac and cheese. You don't have to use them when you're making a gravy or a roux for gravy. However, this is the trick to keep your gravy from getting lumpy. So if you've ever had trouble with that in the past, this is what you need to do, okay? So I'm going to take a stick of butter and I am going to cut it in half. Sorry, I left my knife in my kitchen. Okay, so a stick of butter is normally 8 tablespoons. We're gonna work with 4 tablespoons, so we're just gonna cut it in half. And this is not rocket science. So please, everything we teach is easy. Don't think I can't do this because I haven't had enough experience or whatever. That's just total BS. You can do this. So I'm gonna take my butter and put it in my pan. It's already heating up. Ooh, that's fun. All right, I'm gonna turn up my heat a little bit. Now I go ahead and add my onions. And what I'm gonna do actually is go through this process with you. And then I'm gonna show you how to chop an onion, which is a total bonus. But I just taught a cooking class and a lot of people were excited about learning how to do that. And I forget what people know and what they don't know, so we're gonna do that. So if you were here, you would be smelling this right now. It is amazing. All right, so here's where this concept came from. Is like I was saying, I wanted to make a quick lunch for myself. And the cool thing about this new brand of pasta, which is right here, is that in the time it took me to make my roux and cook the pasta, it all came together in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So please don't use that excuse that you don't have enough time to cook a homemade meal at home, because you totally do. And this is the recipe you're going to use. And it's already on our website. So if you go to getv.com, you'll see it right on the front page. It's also under our blog in case you want to look for it later. It'll move, but it'll always stick with our blog. So I'm going to cook this for just a couple minutes to soften up those onions a bit. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you how to chop an onion. So hoping everybody can see pretty well here. Here's my onion. So for this recipe, I use 1 small yellow onion or 1/2 of a large yellow onion. So that's what this is. I already cut the onion, I cut the top and the bottom off and I sliced it in half. But if you look really carefully, you'll be able to see this is where the roots come out of at the bottom. It looks a little different, see it kind of grows up like that. So every time you're working with an onion, you want to locate the core, the root part of the onion, because that's what's going to hold your onion together while you're chopping it. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to take this in my left hand and I'm going to flip it cut side down on the cutting board. Actually, I lied. I'm going to put it cut side down on its side. Can everybody see that? Okay, then I'm going to take my knife and I'm holding it like this. This is how you hold a knife. Don't hold a knife like this. I forgot earlier to teach you guys that, but you're going to hold a knife like this, kind of like you're holding, I don't know, a piece of chalk. So we're going to take the point side of the knife and start working. We're going to go as close to the big cut side as possible, in the half there. I'm just going to slide my knife gently down like that and rock it. This is a really sharp knife. I'm not rocking it because it's dull, I'm rocking it because this is the best way to teach. So here's the thing. I'm not going all the way down. I'm going almost all the way down, and that core is holding everything into place. And when I need to pull my knife back up, I just hold on to the onion here and I slide it up easily. Let's do one more because we're kind of looking for a fine dice here. Now I'm going to take my onion and flip it, cut side down in half, and I'm going to keep my left hand where it was before on the core. Next I'm going to slice using the tip of my knife to go down just about as far as I cut the other way. I'm going to go like that. And some pieces come out. It's okay. Okay. I'm going to go all the way through like that. One more cut right here. Okay, now I'm ready to dice it. So I'm going to keep it just where it was, hold on to it with my left hand. Remember, this is the part that's not cut through. And again, I'm using the tip of my knife to guide me. That's going to touch the cutting board first as I just slide down. Awesome. So that, my friends, is how you chop an onion. And if you see any of in my process for my recipes where I ask you to chop an onion, you just come back to this video because that's what I want you to do. Now, I'm just going to move these pieces into my bowl so we can make some room. We're going to give our onions a stir. They're looking really good. Again, I really wish you were here to smell this because this is amazing. All right, look, perfect. Now I'm going to give these guys a stir. And now it's time to add the flour. So for a roux like mac and cheese, I know at the beginning I said it's equal parts, but I actually do a little bit more flour. So 4 tablespoons equals 1/4 cup. So I did 4 tablespoons of butter, which is 1/4 cup. I'm going to do 1/2 cup of flour. And that is because I want it to get a little bit thicker. Now I'm using a whisk. You can use a spoon, but for beginners, I suggest using a whisk. And you notice I put the flour in the center because it's easy to start in the center and then work your way out. If you have the flour on the outside of the pot, or the pan, what's going to happen is it's going to fly out the side. So my goal is to get all of the butter absorbed by the flour and coat all of the onions in flour. This is a trick I learned from none other than Julia Child. I'm sure it was done before her, but this is how I learned it. And what happens is the flour adheres to the onions, and this is literally the foolproof way to make a non-lumpy gravy. Now, I have a friend who I love dearly who makes the most badass gumbo jambalaya on the planet. And she always says the New Orleanian rule is that you cook a roux for as long as it takes to drink 3 beers, which means low and slow for a long time, and it turns dark brown and it develops a really nutty scent and flavor. But we don't have time for that. You know, we're busy, we have kids, most of us, or we're working long hours. We want to come home and just do this. So the Julia rule is 2 minutes. So 2 minutes is enough time to cook out all of that flour pasty taste and instead give a little bit of toasted nut flavor, but not a ton. Also, I find roux that are cooked longer tend to be bitter for me because I just don't like them tasting burned. And if you're new to cooking, you don't want to accidentally burn your roux. It will change the entire flavor component of what you're putting it into, and that would really stink to use up all of those Thanksgiving turkey drippings and then ruin the gravy. So we're just going to do 2 minutes. And if you're thinking right now, well, I don't like gravy with onions in it, like big chunks like this is where it gets even better. So after you're done making this, you can run it through a blender. That way, if you happen to have any lumps, they'll go away. And also the onions will get nice soft here, so they'll get pureed, and you won't even be able to tell that there are any onions in there except for the flavor. So I'll cook those a little bit longer. While I'm waiting for those to finish cooking, I'm going to show you how to cube a piece of cheese. Now today we're using smoked Gouda. So I'm going to just take it, I already cut it in half, it was a round. I'm going to take it and put it on its cut side down, facing up like this. Now this is the rind, but for Gouda, this is not hard. You can eat this, so please do. So I'm just going to take my knife. This is a little challenging. There we go. And I'm going to cut it into thirds. Then I'm going to lay my thirds on top of each other again and cut it into thirds again. So I'm getting some nice cubes here. Actually, I might go into fourths. It doesn't really matter. You just want them to be the same size because then that way they'll melt at the same rate. So now I just flipped it. It's kind of just like the onions, so it's a good technique to learn. And again, I'm leading with the tip of my knife. There we go. And this is going to go in my Gouda bowl. All right. That can sit here for a second. So it's almost been 2 minutes, maybe a little bit less, but that's okay. I have no clock around me, so I can't tell. I'm smelling it. I can smell the nuttiness. I can see that the flour is starting to brown a little bit, which is exactly what I want. Now here's the part where most people mess up, but we're not going to mess up today. So if you're doing gravy, you're going to be using the turkey drippings, which are the juices that come off the turkey when you're cooking it. But I'm making mac and cheese, so I'm going to use milk. So I'm going to pour a little bit in the center. And you want to kind of start slow here, so a little bit at a time. It will thicken really fast, but as long as you keep starting in the center and doing what we did before and whisking from the inside out, that's how your sauce is going to come together really nicely. So I'm ready to do a little more. And I'm going to just start whisking. The heat has now decreased a little bit because I added this milk and it's a little cold. Now some people like to add warm or hot liquid, which definitely helps this come together a little bit easier, but it's not necessary. All right, see how that's thickening up? So I'm going to add more. And that's about as much as you want to add at one time. And I'm working again from the inside out, and I've got a little bit stuck inside my whisk, which is fine. The dogs are going crazy today. And then sometimes it helps to turn the temperature up a little bit, and we're about to melt some cheese, so that would be a good idea anyway. So I've got it over like medium high right now. Look. And you want it to be a little bit looser than you think it should be for the mac and cheese. For gravy, you just keep adding the drippings until you get the consistency you want, and you have to remember that as it cools, it will thicken. And it'll also develop a skin on top if you let it sit at room temperature for too long, so it's a good idea to cover the top in plastic, like actually press it down on top. That's looking beautiful. Once you get good at this, you can try to do this without the onions, but this is a really great place to start. Once you see that your whisk is leaving an opening on the bottom of the pan, that's when you know that it's getting nice and thick and maybe thick enough to move on to the next step. So now I'm just going to do basically the last step. And just keep in mind too, I haven't added any salt or pepper because you can always add and you can't take away. So now I'm going to put my Gouda on top. I'm using smoked Gouda because this is what my meal planner Matt loves to use. And In total, I'm going to use about 2 cups of cheese. So that's not quite 2 cups. So I brought some other options to show you. So here's some shredded Gouda that is on sale right now at Harris Teeter. All of the cheeses are buy 2, get 3 free. So people go out and literally you can make this tonight for dinner. These sales end tonight, so you have to go today. I've got Colby Jack. I've got a double cheddar. I got this cool, like really interesting hard cheese. And then also I got smoked cheddar, which is cool as well if you wanted to just go with the total smoked theme. But actually what I'm gonna do is use this New York sharp cheddar that's already grated. And again, you could do different themes. You could do like all mozzarella and parm. And if you did that, then it would be like a really cool Italian cheese. You could put fresh mozzarella in there, and you could use the tomatoes that we're gonna use in a minute. So it's getting pretty thick. I'm gonna add a little bit more milk. That's why when you'll see the recipe, it says 2 to 3 cups of milk. I'm gonna let that melt. And see, because we've created the roux, we're offering some stability to the cheese. So if you just tried to melt cheese into macaroni that's been cooked, it comes out greasy and pretty stringy. This is a way to sort of stabilize those ingredients so they work together and they don't separate. So it's smelling amazing. It's coming together really nicely. Another flavor combo that I love is like a Swiss cheese with a little pinch of nutmeg. That would be really good, but it's really just whatever you have on hand too. Yesterday I just used whatever I had on hand. And today I went to the store so I could do this for you. It's looking really nice. All right, I'm gonna turn up the temperature just a little more, add a little more milk. And you could walk away from this at this point for like 2 minutes tops, but I just recommend never walking away when you're making a sauce like this because it's a lot of hard work that goes into it and it's pretty delicate. If you walk away, the whole thing could scorch. It's got a lot of cheese in there, so it likes to sit at the bottom and get scorched, and then burned cheese doesn't taste good. So obviously you can see how easy this is to do and how quick. You can also make big batches and bring it to potlucks. You could do this ahead of time for Thanksgiving next week and put it in the freezer. All right. And the color is really changing too. It's a nice orange color. So this is enough cheese sauce for an entire box of this Barilla pasta that I got. And here's what the pasta looks like after it's been cooked. And the coolest part is that it's literally just 3 cups of water added to dry pasta. You cook it without a lid on it. You don't even have to strain it. You don't have to like cover it and keep the water in. As the water evaporates, it cooks the pasta, and what comes out is this incredible, perfect al dente macaroni. They do penne and they have rotini as well. I think that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna turn this guy off, and I am going to add my cheese sauce now. So what I'm gonna do is a little flipperoo here so you can see what it looks like. All right, so now I'm gonna pour it in. I know this is the exciting part. And see, I didn't even scorch the bottom of my pan because I was whisking it often. All right. Now for my favorite part, I'm gonna stir it and add more milk if I feel like I need it, but I don't really think I do today. Check it out. And there were like, you look, there's like a little cube of Gouda left. That's totally fine. All right. Great. Now I'm gonna add my favorite secret ingredient that my dad used to use all the time, which is tomatoes. And these are my favorite tomatoes. They're fire roasted tomatoes. They're already diced. This is on sale right now too for a little over $1 a can. It's a really good buy. I would go get it if I were you. I always have some on hand, and if you read my recipes and use them often, you would notice that I put it in just about everything. Now I don't want to add any extra liquid, so see all that liquid on top? I'm just going to use my spoon to sort of just get the tomatoes. And we're using half a can, but you could use a full can if you want. We can use this for chili later in the week. You can puree it with some red onion and jalapeno and have a salsa. So there we go. That's gorgeous. I mean, I wish I had it on slow-mo right now because that was really beautiful. All right, now we're done. At this stage, you could put it in the oven and bake it some more with some breadcrumbs on top or some extra diced cheese on top. That would be awesome for presentation purposes, but this is ready to go and eat. So I hope you enjoy it. Go visit Get V and find that recipe. Like I said, it's right at the top. And on Thursday, we're going to be back, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a knife skills class and teach you how to chop all that celery and onion that goes into stuffing for Thanksgiving Day. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.